Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, I do not care if you have cancer, my child deserves your seat. We don't give a shit about the rules. We want our children to play baseball, damn it. Constant FaceTiming driving me insane. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I do not care if you have cancer, my child deserves your seat. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I do not want to insult your intelligence, because you most likely already know what EM in me stands for, but I should say that EK in this story stands for embarrassed kid and OG stands for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory: about a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. People have pointed out I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact it still did not spread into other tissue, thus it was still contained, which is what I thought the word meant. I apologize for my gaps in knowledge. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point I had to go bald, but I wore a wig, because I didn't want to look like a skinhead/neo-Nazi. I'm 6 feet 4 inches and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like shit thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks bro. 2 stops later, enter EM, a lovely whale with an I demand a parley with the CEO haircut and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, start looking for a free seat, spot me and start marching, or, in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside, to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. EM: hey, could you let my kid sit down? Me: you mean me? EM: who else? Me: oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital and... EM: cutting me off, so are we? Nonsense, the stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital, my boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her, without any support, clearly embarrassed. Me: he's standing next to you completely fine. EM: look here, boy, I am 21 years old, my kid deserves to sit down. Me: look madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. EM then straight up started yelling in my face. Stop making excuses and get off the seat. At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now, enter OG, my savior. OG: will you shut the F and #K up you dumb cow? Who do you think you're talking to? OG, with ice-cold voice: stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that the dude has cancer. No, he's just AF and at #ING skinhead. OG: he's got no eyebrows UTWAT. Seems like that really offended EM, because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. OG then said something unbelievable and a golden, sweet karma moment followed. OG: okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. OG then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called someone and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, EM was as white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for the EM and EK. EK told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes, took a statement, and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, EM got some jail time, I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home, as I just got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend, who's sitting next to me, told me I should post it here. He, as much as myself, also couldn't believe that such people exist, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Congratulations on becoming cancer-free. The best part of the story. I demand a parley with the CEO haircut. Good story, my dude. Congratulations on beating the cancer. Also, WTF is wrong with the mom? I've seen some shit myself, but this definitely tops the cake. Some people have serious issues. I do not know how she avoided arrest for all that time. Also, thanks bro. Poor embarrassed kid, he deserves better. I felt really sorry for the poor bro compared to his mom, he was a saint. He deserves better. We don't give a shit about the rules. We want our children to play baseball, damn it. So, this didn't happen to me but rather to my father. When my father was a teenager, he served as umpire for Little League Baseball. One of the rules in baseball is that, if it starts raining, the game is over. Well, during one game, it started to rain, so my father, fulfilling his duties as umpire, called the game over. Certainly a sucky situation, but not much that can be done. Surely the parents would handle the situation with grace and understanding, right? 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 Yeah, they did not handle the situation with either. Instead, they resorted to shouting at my father, demanding to know why he called the game over, completely oblivious to the fact that it was raining. Keep in mind that my father was a teenager and not yet a legal adult at the time. So, because of an act of God that no one had any control over, these parents were standing in pouring rain and yelling at a teenager for the crime of following the rules. You know, I used to think that one South Park episode where the kids join a little league was one of South Park's famous exaggerations for the purpose of satire. But no. Little League sports really brings out the worst in parents. Just a friendly reminder that entitled parents have always been a thing. When I was a 14-year-old girl, I was refereeing a soccer game. First game day of the season. I was ref for an under-10s game between the prior season's grand final winner and third place. I didn't know this at the time, and refed as fair a game as I could manage. The prior season's winners lost that game, and their coach decided it was my fault. He yelled and swore at me while physically leaning over the top of me, in the middle of the field away from anyone else who could help me. He kept hold of the paperwork I was required to submit, so that I couldn't walk away from him. Thankfully, my referee organization and my dad had my back afterwards and successfully petitioned to have that coach permanently banned from all junior soccer venues in the state for life. Some people don't see children, only wins and losses. In the early 1980s, I was in the military and stationed on a base where the base commander threatened to ban parents from all youth sporting events if the parents didn't learn how to act civilized. Constant FaceTiming driving me insane. I'm 20F, a freshman in college, and my parents have been FaceTiming me 24/7. I'm okay with being on the phone, but it's a little irritating that they insist on me staying on FaceTime while I'm working in my room. I've asked to hang up and call them later so I'm not distracted, but they just say it's okay. We'll go on mute, and they stay there. If I hang up, they'll think I'm up to something. All I want is to not be monitored at all times. It's not a big deal, but it's getting under my skin. I can't talk to my roommate without my parents listening in, and every time I get up to go to the restroom or kitchen, I'm faced with disapproval for roaming around, and I'm tired of this. It's been a month, and I'm afraid it's too late to change this routine without creating issues. I can't think of a logical way to tell them that I just don't want to be on call with them without it making them upset or suspicious. In all honesty, they're not distracting me because I'm not able to hear anything they do or say since they're on mute, so that's not an excuse. I just feel like I'm under constant surveillance. Ideas? Just tell them if they want you can just come home from school and sit in a cage in the living room. Basically what they're doing. That's honestly what it feels like, and that's why I hate it so much. There's nothing to see here, but if I hang up I get an earful. But what could I actually say that makes sense? This level of controlling behavior is extremely abnormal. So much so I'm a bit unsure if this is even real, but in case it is. You are an adult. You are allowed to be up to something. You are supposed to be up to something. Tell them you need to hang up, because you are up to something you need privacy for. They need to face that eventually. You have a roommate? Your parents are invading their privacy too. Get your roomie to demand the phone gets shut off when she is in the apartment, and limit coverage to only private areas when she is not. Your parents can look at your empty bed when they demand FaceTime. Just say no. Sorry, I have to go. I will talk to you on X day at X time. Stop enabling this crap. If it causes issues, oh well. You'll get over it. Just tell them you have better things to do than keep them happy with the constant FaceTime. Time is a resource, and it's your right to dictate how it's used. And you're an adult. Them being happy isn't your responsibility. You have responsibilities of your uni, and them demanding to be on FaceTime is definitely not a thing you should be spending your time on in there. Lastly, you don't owe them an explanation for not wanting them to stare at you at all times. If they didn't learn that you need privacy when you were 14, it's high time they learn it. Get a job, save up, get your own phone plan. That way you're not obligated to answer. Tell campus staff your parents are crazy and they will help keep them in line. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.